Every week, the program Sports Nation introduces you to the main events of Kazakhstan and world sports. We cover large tournaments, find outstanding heroes, and open doors to the best sports arenas in the country. Today we will visit the new Paralympic Training Center. We will talk to the captain of the national tennis team of Kazakhstan, Dias Doskarayev. And also, we will learn why Judo is called the legacy of samurai. This is the first and so far the only Paralympic Training Center in Kazakhstan. A well-known businessman who is also the president of the National Paralympic Committee, Kairat Barambayev, invested 1.7 billion tenge. Bright facade and the most modern equipment. The center is in no way inferior to the expensive luxury fitness center. Our center is one of the best in the CIS region. We hope to receive a world certificate from the International Paralympic Committee. We will do everything to make sure that this facility is accessible to all categories of disabled people. Paralympic sport in Kazakhstan is on rise, and we have our own stars. In 2016, Zulfiya Gabidulina became the first champion of the Paralympic Games in the history of the country, having won gold in swimming. In 2018, her success was repeated by skier Alexander Kolyadin. This center should become a breeding ground of new champions. In the center, we develop those sports in which we have chances to win world tournaments. But in the future, we want to develop other sports that don't have proper development. We already plan to purchase necessary equipment. This sports medical exercise machine is the only one in Kazakhstan. Its size is 3 by 5 meters. During the exercises, the machine controls the heart rhythm, breathing, and blood circulation. The track goes up to an angle of 45 degrees. This will help athletes to feel if they are training on a real track. We installed several well-known tracks, including our ice rink Medeo. Skaters can practice here. The cost of this treadmill is about $350,000. It is intended not only for Paralympic athletes, but also for national teams. Literally 2 days ago, we finished the installation, tested it with skaters and bicycle riders, including sportsmen on wheelchairs. The area of the center is more than 4,000 square meters, and in addition to new simulators, there is a martial arts hall and a playground for game sports. This is available not only for athletes, Paralympic athletes, but also for all people with disabilities. This is our martial arts hall, but at the same time, when we have tournaments, it can be transformed into a table tennis court. Now we divided the hall into 2 zones. It is designed for para-judo and para-taekwondo.
В основном зал предназначен для пара-дзюдо и пара-таэквондо. Здесь у нас, паркет профессиональный, заказывался с Европы, плавающий паркет.
Here we have a professional parquet from Europe. I will not say whether there is one like this in Kazakhstan. Personally, I have not seen it, and this is our pride.
Профессиональную разметку. Было немножко трудно нанести разметку по паралимпийским видам спорта, потому что мало специалистов, но при помощи международных экспертов мы справились.
It was difficult to do professional marking, but with the help of international experts, we did it.
Волейбол сидя, голбол и боча.
The Paralympic Center in Astana will now unite special athletes from different regions. After all, sport is not only medals and cups, it's communication. And in this case, it helps to socialize those people who have hard life, who are strong in spirit. Coming up, Dias Doskarayev will talk about the leaders of the national team, big money in the industry, and active tennis development in the regions. There are more than 200 tennis courts in Kazakhstan today. 10 years ago, there were only 60. The competition within the national team has grown, although so far only through the invitation of high-quality foreign players. But the fact remains, tennis in the country is becoming more popular, and this trend has its reasons. Dias, hello. How are you doing? Thank you, Murat. All is well. What are the players of Kazakhstan tennis team doing now? Many players of national teams take part in different tournaments. At the moment, it is a hot season. Many of our tennis players are abroad. They participate in tournaments. A large number of tennis players participate in futures tournaments. Denis Yevseyev made this year's jump in the rating. He now plays in a tournament in Spain. He passed, and we hope that by the end of the year, he will be able to qualify for the US Open. Putintseva, Zarina Diaz, they're preparing for their tournaments. Yulia Putintseva reached the quarterfinal of Roland Garros. Can you say that this is a sensation? On the one hand, looking at her current rating, I can say that this is a sensation. Before the tournament, she was at 90th place. She entered the top 8 of the best tennis players at her favorite tournament, where she was already in the quarterfinals 2 years ago, where she was close to winning Serena Williams. Never in our singles did any of the tennis players reach the semifinals of the Grand Slam tournaments. We hoped for it. It was a unique opportunity. Where is Andrei Golubev now? He has not played in individual tournaments for a long time. Andrei Golubev did not officially end his career, but due to his hip injury, that we hoped he would overcome and regain his confidence and all of his will. Plus, he had psychological stress. In any case, we connect the future with Andrei both in terms of the tennis player and in terms of tennis coach. He got married recently. He started a family. Therefore, a new stage of his life opens for him. Many tennis players who finish their careers, they continue to benefit Kazakhstan tennis, first as sparring partners, as Yuri Shukin, who for a long time defended the honor of the country. He is now the senior coach of the junior team.
Казахстанскому теннису сначала как спарринг-партнеры, как Юрий Щукин, который долгое время защищал честь страны, как игрок Кубка Дэвиса. Он сейчас является старшим тренером юниорской сборной.
Russian tennis player Elena Rybakina decided to play for Kazakhstan.
Я, конечно, уже всегда в интервью говорил, что большое количество теннисистов.
I've already said that a large number of tennis players are asking for permission to come to Kazakhstan, not only from the CIS countries, but also from afar abroad. We consider not all proposals. We approach each person individually. What are his prospects? We approach it from the point of view of psychological factors. Whether the tennis player will be able to assimilate in Kazakhstan. Will they be able to stay here afterwards? These tennis players like Rybakina and Skatov, they give impetus to young players. On one hand, we have Dastan Tashblatov, who can play in Grand Slam tournaments. There is Skatov. They are of the same age and can perform in pairs. Dastan needs support and competition. Could you explain how this work is built? How do we find foreign players? We find them and send an invitation, or they find us and offer their services. The initiative comes from the tennis players themselves. We get a large number of letters, a large number of resumes. Is there a special selection department? No, I do most of the work. I consult with the coaching staff, tennis players and veterans. We always consult with Kukushkin, Golubev and Nedovesov. Literally in 5 years, the question of inviting tennis players will disappear, because such tennis players as Zhanna Lospanova, Karina Jumajanova, Aya Nutbai, the three of them are in elite not only in Kazakhstan, but already in elite among the CIS countries. They win in Asia tournaments. Timofey Skatov, ex-first racket of the world among juniors. Did he come to us himself, or did the federation propose to him to play for Kazakhstan?
Здесь получилось обоюдно. Мы давно знали, что о Скатове, следим за рейтингом.
It turned out to be mutual. We knew about Skatov for a long time. We followed the rating. We watched the game. His father still has a passport of Kazakhstan. He thought about Kazakhstan for a long time, but he made the decision just now. He is the leading tennis player of the world among juniors. Has prospects to start playing in professional tennis. The results in the children's tennis do not give grounds to believe that this tennis player will play successfully among adults. Junior tennis and professional tennis are two different things. If someone shows results among juniors, this is good. He has a potential.
Это разные вещи. Поэтому, если кто-то показывает результаты среди юниоров, это хорошо. Это предпосылка.
Could you name the most famous tennis players who offered their services to the Kazakh Tennis Federation? I think this will be incorrect with respect to tennis players, but there are players from the top 50 of the current rating who wanted to play for Kazakhstan. How big is the financial capacity of the tennis federation?
Бюджет нашей федерации, он прозрачен.
The budget of our federation is transparent. It varies from $500,000 from time to time. Sometimes it's about 6 million. It depends on different events and tournaments. The biggest expense item is the Team Kazakhstan project. The most talented tennis players, a youth team under 18 years old, and the academy. Tennis players under 12 years old. The spending for them is more than $1.5 million. Children and youth sports is always on the first place. On the second, tournaments. And on the third place, adult teams, including invited tennis players.
И третье это уже сборные команды, в том числе привлеченные теннисисты.
In 2019, we start in the world group again. What is our goal?
Минимальная задача это остаться в мировой группе, остаться в элите.
The minimal task is to remain in the world group, to remain in the elite. Each year this task is worth it. Once we are excluded from there, another time we spend the entire year inside the first group. The maximum goal is to reach the semifinals. 5 times we were in the quarterfinals, but never went into the semifinals. The format of the Davis Cup is changing, and it will be even more difficult, because the whole tournament will become a kind of the World Championship. What will change first?
В первую очередь изменятся призовые. По призовым.
First of all, the prize money will change. Players will receive more than 20 million. This will be aimed at attracting the world's leading tennis players: Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic. At the same time, the format will change. Probably there will not be 5 sets, but 3. At the same time, all teams will gather in one place. We can play very well, having prepared for one team against another.
Нам нужно иметь довольно-таки длиннее скамейку запасных.
Why female team is not as successful as the male team? In composition, it is not much inferior to male team.
Мне кажется, даже она не только не уступает, она даже превосходит, да, потому что
It is not only inferior, it surpasses the male team. We had more girls in the top 100 than men. Korolev, Golubev, Kukushkin, and Ovesov were in the top 100. But on a permanent basis, in the top 100 were only Zarina Dias, Yulia Putintseva, Yaroslava Shvedova, and Galina Voskoboeva. You know, there are 2 factors. First, the competition in Asia for women is much higher than for men. There are at least 4 Japanese or Chinese female tennis players in the top 100 every year. Twice we were a step away from the world group. We had to outplay France and Canada. We definitely should win Canada, and it is my responsibility as the captain.
Большую часть ответственности несу как капитан я.
Galina Voskoboeva decided to perform only in doubles. Is this the end of her career?
Нет, это не конец карьеры. Знаете, когда теннисисты преследуют большое
No.
количество травм,
When a sportsman has a lot of injuries, it can be too much. Galina Voskoboeva this year turns 34 years old. She heals one injury and then gets another. For 2 years, she was already thinking of switching to paired tennis. I think this is the right decision, to transfer to doubles. She will be able to help the team in the pair matches and keep herself healthy. After all, it is half a physical load. You need to oversee only half a block.
переносить нагрузки, меньше нагрузки, как в парном теннисе. Все-таки полкорта нужно закрывать, да?
Could you compare tennis when you were a player and now? What are 3 main changes that have occurred in Kazakhstan's tennis?
Перемены, конечно,
Of course, there are changes.
корты.
Number of courts throughout Kazakhstan increased. as well as number of tournaments, the amount of support, the future of tennis players. Aktau was offered to host the World Tennis Championship. Is it realistic?
Вы знаете, все реально.
Everything is realistic. If the infrastructure allows, then you can hold a tournament of this level. Any center in Kazakhstan is capable today. Aktau has very good conditions, good location of the city, near the Caspian Sea.
Из дальнего зарубежья, да, из ближнего зарубежья располагается Каспийское море.
How profitable is coaching in Kazakhstan? It has become very profitable because there is a huge demand, not only for children, but for amateurs too. The average coach receives $1,000. Not in all industries specialists, starting from 25 years old, can boast with such a salary. Salaries of national teams are even higher. They have special bonuses. We have foreign specialists who work according to contracts.
Результаты прописываются, бонусы прописываются, конечно же. И у нас есть иностранные специалисты, которые работают, да, у нас на контрактах.
Dias, thank you very much for the interview. It was interesting. Next in the program, Coach Dr. Zorbekov will talk about the growing popularity of Judo in Kazakhstan.
Первые номера. Jibek!
Judo is the most popular kind of martial arts in the world and in general, one of the most popular sports. Of course, most of judoists are in the homeland of this martial art in Japan, about 8 million. Many years ago, the technique of judo has changed. Now it is based on throws, undercuts, painful and suffocating tricks. Fighters go on the mat and greet each other. After this, a fight begins. It starts at the counter. There are two types of estimates of throws, Ippon and Vazari. Ippon is a clean victory. Vazari, half a victory. For example, I throw him on the hip. He fell. This is Ippon. If he fell on his shoulder, sideways, this is Vazari. Judo. Under the new rules, you cannot take the opponent by his feet. This is a violation. You get one notice. This is a Shido. 4 notices, you're disqualified. Judo is a very spectacular fight, very dynamic. Many modern celebrities have achieved good results in this martial art. For example, the famous Hollywood director Guy Ritchie, actors Steven Seagal, even German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Dexterity, as well as the use of force, in principle is very important in Judo. It is advisable to start training in Judo from 7 years old. We accept from this age. When a child exercises consciously, up to 7 years, it is recommended to exercise in gymnastics or sports acrobatics for 2 to 3 years. Judo is an Olympic sport and is considered one of the most accessible types of martial arts in Kazakhstan. The only thing you need is a special judo uniform and find a suitable coach. The most famous Kazakhstan judoists are Eldos Smetov, Askhad Jitkeyev and Maxim Rakov. Judo is developing very well. Every weekend somewhere there is a tournament. For a child, it is a good practice. When we were training, we didn't have much of a choice, and the current generation can already choose a tournament it wants to attend. The video of the week concludes our program. Today we will go to Portugal, where the next round of the World Series on extreme motorcycle racing was held. We will show the most difficult sections of the route.